Hi, welcome to the Amplify Speakers podcast, where we go beyond the bios to uncover real stories, the defining moments, and lessons that shape extraordinary leaders, performers, and changemakers. I'm your host, Chris Sund, and today's conversation is one you won't want to miss. Our next guest is no stranger to achieving excellence and overcoming obstacles. As an Olympic 400-meter hurdler and a Pan American silver medalist, Sarah Wells knows the mindset, grit, and the amount of failure that it takes to achieve at the highest level. As a renowned keynote speaker, Sarah has been featured in publications like Forbes, Best Health Magazine, and Thrive Global. She has worked with organizations such as Salesforce, Coca-Cola, P&G, Kraft and Heinz, Bell Media, and Google, providing their teams with valuable insights and strategies to build resilient and inspirational leaders. She has a kind of energy that you could charge your phone battery with, and today she is here to inspire us into action. Please give a big Amplify Speakers podcast welcome to Sarah Wells.
Can you hear my audio there? I turned on my own sound effect.
Did you? I did. I liked the sound effect you added in there.
That's so
I
funny.
need some like clapping or cheering.
Yeah, I can give you that. We could just like be like, and welcome Chris to the
That'd be
stage.
great. Well, you need a walk-up song.
Yeah, oh, I got you.
Do you? What is it? I think the noise cancellation's blocking it
Yeah,
out.
now you just saw my embarrassing dance moves up nothing. That's the worst part. That's the worst.
So I guess I want to know that right off the bat, if you were to pick like a walk-up song and your names get announced and it's like you're going wrestling and it's what you're walking down to get into the ring, what would the song be?
Easy answer. It's Sia, Unstoppable. So you walk out, it's like, I'm unstoppable.
That's a
It's the
great
best.
one.
It's the best. And it's so hype. It brings like all the energy right away. I love it. Like every single time I'm asked for a walkout song, I'm like, yeah, don't even need to think about it.
You already knew. Yeah, that is a great song. Good walk-up. Sets energy right off the bat.
Right?
Which, and I want to bring that hopefully in this conversation. To kick it off, some people don't know who you are other than the intro I just gave.
Then my mom.
Yes.
Just my mom. She's the only one I got.
Tell us a little bit about your story. I mean, we just talked about the Olympics and everything. I actually want to skip that part right now.
Okay.
How did you go from there to speaking and helping, companies all over the globe?
Yeah, so it's funny. I never knew keynote speaking was a career. I had no idea. I mean, you don't go to careers fair in like early high school and be like, oh, in one day you can be a keynote speaker. And so I really, I took kinesiology as my degree in college. And I think because I took kinesiology, it taught me about my body, which allowed me to get like that extra 1 or 2% more out of my training. And because I had that 1 or 2% more out of my training, that led me to, having the opportunity to become an Olympic athlete. And because I was an Olympic athlete, I had some of my first opportunities to get on a stage and share my story. And really it was because like I got this injury leading into the Olympics, then I had this like comeback where I got the word believe tattooed on my wrist and I said, when I make the games, I'm putting the rings underneath here. And everyone was like, that's a really bad idea. Don't tattoo yourself of something that might not happen. But then ultimately 6 months later, I make the Olympic Games and my parents were telling their friends like, oh my God, like she got the tattoo. We really didn't think she'd make it. But then 6 months later she did. And so my parents' friends were like, come tell my kid that. I want them to believe in themselves that strongly. And so I started speaking at like middle schools and being like, you got to believe in yourself. Like it works. And then that principal referred me out to another principal who referred me out to another principal. And then as those from after making the Olympics comes back around 4 years later. And I was now a medal hopeful. And so all my corporate sponsorships had in my contracts, like, well, then you'll come to our annual conference and you will speak and share what happens at the next Olympics because you're supposed to win a medal. And then ultimately I end up having this epic, terrible moment and I end up not going to the next Olympics, even though I was a medal hopeful. And so I thought, oh my gosh, look, they don't want me to go on stage. They don't want me to talk about any of that. And what ended up happening was, because it was contract bound, I went up there and told them, like, hey, I made it 4 years ago. And now 4 years later, it didn't work out. But like, here's why I still believe in the concept of excellence. Here's still why that was never a waste of time. And then I suddenly realized, like, that was the story. That was the thing that people resonated with. That was the human experience. And so those corporate contracts, suddenly they started referring me out and they started referring me out. And I was meeting these like professional speakers. And I was like, oh, you guys do this all the time? Like, that's incredible. Like the impact you get to make, the people you get to meet. And so really had no idea I was about to board this train, but I'm forever grateful that I am, because yeah, this is like the best line of work. Like I cannot believe that I get to have this impact and meet all the people that I do and learn so much about the organizations I get to work with. And so it's pretty surreal.
I love that. You know, a lot, like you said, a lot of people don't know it is a line of business or that people do it full time as a career. And even then, there's a lot of people that then go, I want to do this full time for a career. And
Hmm.
they're struggling on, how do I bring the value or how do you get on that stage if you're applying? And you explained it perfectly. Like, hey, I started by just talking to schools or I was
Hmm.
talking here. And then I gave a great message. You did an unbelievable job. And then the referrals are the biggest key I think there are.
Hmm.
And
Certainly.
those don't come lightly, though. People don't refer unless you're really talented and really good.
Well, it's very kind. But I do think that that is the biggest piece of it, is like, you can't show up and be like, here's why I'm amazing. You're welcome. It's like the audience has to feel something. They have to see themselves in your story. And that's really important to me, to make sure that, like, almost immediately when I get on stage, like, I'm trying to remove myself from whatever pedestal someone might have put me on, because I don't belong there. Like, I truthfully need to be in the audience as much as I need to be the person on stage. Like, I need to hear why I feel so passionately about my message is because I need my message every day. And so it's like, you have to connect with your audience. You have to make them realize that, like, this isn't just this othered experience. Like, we all live this, and here's how you might manage that, and how you might use tools and strategies to work through the same thing that I went through back there. And so it's really, really important to me. And honestly, speaking has become my new sport. Like, I love finding the little ways that we can do it better and make it connect better with the audience, make it funnier and more engaging, make it hit harder with different metaphors and experiences, and how do we bring that all together? And it's like, you know, the 400 hurdles was about doing the same thing better every time. And keynote speaking is like, how do you take that same message but make it hit harder and with a different audience and relate a different way? And so I get to have that same rush and that same like excitement of like pouring your whole self into something. I get that in speaking now, which I previously had in sport. So it's so much fun.
Oh, I love it. Your competitiveness is just oozing out of you, which is amazing. You can tell why you got to that level there.
You're like, you're
And
a little
that's
bit
just
insane.
ingrained in your DNA. Does that ever drive your husband crazy?
Oh, for sure. I think most people that encounter me, they're like, "You're a lot, lady." Um, it's like so much of my story of my first Olympics was I cracked my femur, and then made this comeback, and then ultimately made the Olympic Games. And when I look at like the way I design my life and how much I'm like, no, I need to do everything, and I have to, like, more is more, and I'm like, oh, I see how that's showing up again. I see how I am still the person who would run till their femur breaks. So sometimes I'm a danger to myself.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
If you're taking that same, you take that competitiveness, you're going, I will do whatever I can to get to this elite level. You do have a family. And I'd like to hear, how's that been balancing these goals? Because that has been different. You didn't, as far as I'm aware, I don't think you had the
Yeah.
family, right? When you're going for the Olympics, but now
No.
you do. So what's that look like for balance?
Yeah, I think that is one of the hardest parts, is that sport is very like closed game. Like, you you are kind of fixated and focused on the singular thing. And it's very much like there's a lot of people helping you control the variables, a lot of support that you have, a lot of people like taking things off your plate because, they know how much it matters at, like that singular moment at the Olympics or that singular moment to qualify at the Olympic trials. And so there's so many people being like, nope, we can do this. Like, for example, in the Olympic Village, you don't have to cook. There is a cafeteria that exists that where you just show up and there's all kinds of cuisines and foods. So that's like removed from your brain load. And you don't do your own laundry. You have a laundryman. And they come and they gather your laundry each day and they take it away and they bring it back to you nice and folded and clean. And like all of that is removed from you so that all you have to focus on is performing. And in real life, that is not the case. No one is coming to save you from your laundry pile. And so you have to face that on your own. And now I have an almost 2-year-old and I want to spend that time with her. And she comes with her own set of like, okay, do we have like her little mini meals made? Like, do we have enough snacks for her? Oh, we're going on a trip later. Do we have her pack and play where we're going to bring it? And like, does the hotel, are they aware of that we need a microwave for her milk and like all of these things? And so all of that extra stuff, it's like, that has to fall on our plate. And so how do you make time for that? Because no one's coming to save me now for any of that stuff. And so I think it can be really easy to get overwhelmed by everything we have on our plates all the time. And something that sport taught me is that like we can only kind of take one step at a time. We can only do one thing well at a time. And so an example here would be in the 400 hurdles when you are running around the whole track, you have to jump over 10 hurdles. It can be really easy to be overwhelmed by the fact that I'm going to be really tired at hurdle 7. I'm going to be really exhausted by hurdle 8, and I don't want to hit it, and I don't want to fall down, and I don't want to like, have this epic face plant in front of everyone. But it's like, look, until I get over hurdle 1, hurdle 7 doesn't matter. And so I only need to be focused on what is happening at hurdle 1. What cues am I giving myself? How should I be feeling? What am I doing to run off that hurdle? And so similarly in my life, it's kind of like, yes, there are 7,000 things to be done right now, but like, what is the thing that allows me to take a step forward, like right here in this moment? What is that meeting I need to prepare for? What is that big project that's coming up that I said I was going to carve out an hour of deep thought time to dig into that and build that thing? And so it's like, yes, I still need to coordinate with the hotel on that trip we're taking on the weekend and get everybody's pack and play ready. But right now, this 1 hour is dedicated to that deep thought work that I promised myself I would do. And that doesn't make the crib thing go away, but it's like, what is the step I need to take? And then going all in on that one thing, because that's the only way you take the step forward without like diluting that capacity that you have, unnecessarily spending thought energy on those things. And so I am a psychopath when it comes to my schedule. I have my like dumping to-do list that like has all of the things and like personal, professional life. And before I leave my computer or when I'm on a flight leaving a speaking event and I'm going to prepare for like what needs to happen the next day, I'm looking at what's already in my calendar in those meetings that are set in stone. What are the buckets that like on my to-do list that I like know need to be moved forward or what's most important that needs to get done. And then I'm squeezing those in to the slots. And so it's like, and sometimes there's more things that need to be done than it feels like you have hours for in a day. And I'm not suggesting that you have to do this because it's probably not healthy because I'm the person who ran till they broke their femur. So don't listen to me in this sense. But sometimes I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to get done in the like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. window of time. So I'm going to wake up at 5 so I have that extra hour to get that other thing in because it has to be done tomorrow. I believe I have a pretty good level of discipline that like I'm going to do that. And that's not always possible and that's not always healthy. So I'm not necessarily always encouraging that. But sometimes it has to be done. And I will say like, okay, so I'm waking up at 5. From 5 to 5:15, I'm like waking up, like checking my phone and making coffee. But then at 5:15, I better be like reviewing that proposal that someone sent along. I better be writing that email in response to the client who asked me about, XYZ. And then, then I have that meeting from 6 to 7. Then my daughter wakes up at 7. So I'm going to be with her from 7 to 9. Then I go back into meetings. But then I have to go to the airport. And if I have to go to the airport, but there's like some things I need to get done in the Uber, I know I'm hotspotting my phone and what email I'm sending while I'm driving in that Uber. And what that allows you to do is also like lock in in that time and not let those distractions, not let those other things that like could take up your time. Because you're like, look, I've blocked 20 minutes for this task. If I don't do it now, I see everything else that still has to be done. And there's no new time for this thing if I choose to procrastinate or not get it done. And so it holds you really accountable as well. And so this level of scheduling, this level of like creating a training program for my everyday, allows me to get a lot done. And I think that's my biggest superpower. And that's not for everyone, but if that is a bone in your body, it's like, I've seen it work.
Well, I have no doubt it works. I think too often not we take or we have a to-do list and you start checking off the easier to-dos or the ones like I can get that just knocked out now and that one knocked out now, and then you put off these still have to get done or these are going to move the needle a lot. And if you are just like, I'll get to it this week or I'll get to it later, probably not going to if you don't actually schedule it. It's when you're crystal clear and saying, I'm going to work on it at this time so I can get it done. You're going to accomplish a lot more than just thinking eventually it's going to get done.
And I think so often we actually get intimidated of like that big thing that we have to create time for. We can build it up in our head that it's like an even bigger deal than maybe it is. And then when we actually carve out the time and get started in momentum, we're like, oh, this actually isn't as bad as I expected this to be, or this isn't as like brutal as I was prepared to battle with right now. So sometimes it's just a matter about like getting into it and realizing it's not as bad, or maybe it is still as bad, and it's going to take you longer hours, but at least you carved out that hour and you took one step forward in that larger based project. And so it's like, it doesn't have to happen overnight or in the singular block that you gave it. Like it can happen incrementally, but if we keep avoiding it, it never gets done.
No, it doesn't. Tie in your analogy with the hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
You can't worry about, wow, this is a lot what I have to do to get to the end. You just gotta, let's get past the first one and then the second one. And if I gotta come back and finish 3, 4, 5, and 6, we'll come back and do that. But at least you're taking the step and not just pushing it off and not doing it all.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about some of your running and go back.
Yeah.
I mean, to get where you are, I'm sure you have countless stories, but I think one thing is there probably, and I'm assuming there's probably moments that you're like, this is too much. I just want to quit. This is getting too hard, too overwhelming. When you had that, what did you say to yourself, or what did you do to get through that? Or what did your coaches help you with when you had those tough obstacles that hit you?
I think, so when I was sidelined from the injury leading into the Olympics, I had every reason to believe like this was never going to work out. And I really had moments where I wanted to throw my hands up in the air and be like, what am I even doing? This is going to be a waste of time. Like, let's just throw this out. And I used to keep this journal log that I would document kind of like what I was working on, like, if there was like a cycling workout that I did so that it was like less weight on my femur, which was the bone that was cracked. What were the times? How hard did I feel? Like, what was my perceived level of exertion? All of that. And I would keep track of that in this journal log daily so that I could, in a moment where I felt super defeated and really like, kind of like, what am I doing? Like, I'm making no progress. I'm not on the track. I'm not sprinting and hurdling. So like, I'm not even moving forward towards this goal that's already really hard. And I'm now making it even harder on myself. And, I think so often, I got the word believe tattooed on my wrist. There's nothing more fluffy than that. Like, believe in yourself, like it sounds super fluffy. And so it's like, I didn't feel like I could just be like, all right, I got this, because that felt like a lie because I had no reason to believe I was really moving forward towards that goal. But what the journal did was that it anchored me in true progress, in like things I was actually doing to move the needle forward and still stay in momentum towards that goal. And so I could look back on a day I felt really defeated and go like, okay, has it been a bad day? Do I feel like I'm not moving forward? Sure. But if I look back in this journal log, like I can see like it hasn't been a bad week or even a bad month. Like I actually am becoming stronger. Like my core is getting better. My aerobic capacity is actually being built with a great foundation because of all of this additional aerobic work I'm doing, even non-weight bearing. And so that was no longer just the fluffy, like, you got this. It was evidence, like real evidence. And so I often encourage people to keep a journal, like use documentation of the things you're working on and the projects you're moving towards, and the not just the projects, but like also like what are the personal skills you're working on? How many new relationships have you built this month? Like what's your networking look like? What is the course you're taking? Like all of that, because all of that will add up to like the collective being that you are and allow you to be a better person, leader that shows up at the door of your next opportunity. And so every single time I speak to an audience, I'm often encouraging them, like, you have to document that progress. And so that in the moments where you feel defeated, you're not just like, I got this. It's like you have real evidence, and you can genuinely see the things that you are working on and how much more proud of yourself that you should feel, maybe more than you feel in that moment. So that's what I was kind of doing for myself. My coach was also like I would not be here without him. I wouldn't have been. I would not have made the Olympics. I would not be in keynote speaking, probably because I didn't make the Olympics. And so without him, like, I would not be here. And he believed in me so strongly before I ever believed in myself, and definitely way more in the moments when I really was like, this is not possible. There's no way I'm going to make it. Like, I can't believe we're even still at this. Like, this is a joke. And I had been through some injuries previously, and I had seen some success leading into the Olympic years. And so he knew the kind of like work ethic I had and the person I was willing to be and the perseverance I had bringing in to my journey. And so when I got injured, he would just constantly remind me, like, talent doesn't go away. Like, you saw that back there, Sarah, right? 2 years ago, remember you did that thing? It was crazy. Like, you got back up, you won the race when everyone had passed you and they were already like 50 meters ahead of you. Like, you did that. So you're still that person. And by him saying that, he really believed, he breathed that belief into me. So that when today I didn't think I could, like, he reminded me why yesterday I said I could. And so without him, I don't know if I would have got through those really challenging times. And so I think being willing to ask for help, to invite people into your journey, to let them know where you're at, like, we can fuel some of that self-belief that's required by bringing that in from others. And he was that for me, for sure.
That's incredible. I'm sure he knows the impact he's made on you. How often do you still stay in touch with him?
All the time. He like came to my wedding, like he's always texting me other stuff. He's basically like a second dad to me. It's like sometimes he is like a second dad to me. That's like sometimes I have to roll my eyes because it's like, dad, like, stop, like it's like but
That's
he's
a good thing.
yeah,
Great
no,
thing, actually.
it's I am forever grateful for him. Like, he is one of the most meaningful people in my life. Like I would not be the person I am without that journey, without him.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to touch base on the journal again. When you're writing the journal, just because I think it's such a great suggestion for everyone that's listening, did you ever share what you're writing in the journal with someone else to also see what you were working on?
That's a really great question. No, to be honest, I didn't, other than my coach. Like, he would, we would walk through that together, kind of like, what was the workout and what were the times and what did we work on there. But I didn't really bring in even my sports psychologist, who I worked with a lot during that time, on like, hey, here's what I wrote, and like walked them through that. But I do think that there's a lot of evidence to say when you share your goals and your journey with others, that it helps fuel you and becomes a big part of your accountability to help you actually achieve them and hold yourself accountable to the things you said you would do. So I do wonder if that would have been an even more powerful angle and tool for me to use. I think that's why Instagram and Instagram stories are so wonderful. Sometimes it's like people make the joke of like, oh, do it for the gram, like, oh, you only took that trip so you could share that photo and like do it for the gram. And so, like, yes, there is a little bit of some egotistical, or like, I don't know what to call it, part of Instagram. But I also think like that person who goes to the gym every day and shows the picture of them at the gym every day, I have no doubt there are some days that the sheer expectation of that photo showing up on their Instagram story is the reason they went to the gym that day, at least a few times a year. And I think that's pretty powerful. I think that's kind of an interesting thought.
Yeah, I never even thought of it that way, but absolutely that is holding people accountable, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah.
And go, I already set the tone. I'm doing this. Now, if I don't do it, I'm gonna get called out for doing it. And people are like, what happened to you?
Like, where's your mirror shot, bro? Like, where are you at?
But I do like that you did keep it to yourself. The reason I asked, I assumed you maybe did share it.
Mhm.
And like you said, there's a lot out there that if you share your goals or what you're working on, you're more likely to actually do them. At the same time, I can already tell you shared your main goals because the reminder is it's on your wrist. I
Yeah.
mean, you went as far as tattooing a
Yeah.
goal on you. So I think that's way past most people's ability to just share.
Yeah. And I think the goals were shared. I think it was more so like the things I was working on wasn't as publicly shared. Um, but I think that that's a really interesting thing to consider or to reinforce and to be more mindful of going forward, because though you might share the goal, actually this is really interesting to me, because it's like, though we might share the goal, that puts this pressure onto us that that's the only thing that matters. But that's actually not true, because some of the most important things that matter are the actions and the steps we take in pursuit of that goal. My entire core message, the line I say all the time, is that excellence isn't just about the outcome. Excellence is who we become in pursuit of the goal. That is mine. That is my thesis to its core. So I think it's interesting that I never did share that journal and the things I was working on, because it was the pursuit of that goal. Like that's what it was challenging to help me become. And if we don't do that, then we are surely putting the pressure on solely putting the pressure on the outcome-based thing only. And there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah, that was, I mean, first of all, very powerful message to say the least. And I just want people to let that ring in. I think anyone, when you hear that, would completely agree. One, I'll just use the Olympic stage. One, to make it to the Olympics, it's unreal. You're talking the best in the world, right? But arguably, regardless of just making it to that stage or not making to that stage or getting on that podium, not that journey, everything that went up leading into that changes a person in the best way possible,
Mm-hmm.
and teaches traits and characteristics that are pretty hard to train on.
Yeah.
And that doing it, no matter what, whether you walked away and hit the top goal or not, you're still 100% a better person than if you didn't try at all.
100%. For sure.
So I want to flip it from like the more positive side, and this sounds bad, but if you don't mind, if you ask you to get maybe a little bit vulnerable, you made a comment about, you wouldn't be here without your coach, and your coach got you through. I think sometimes people don't get to hear that. They hear all the good side of it, but what was going through your head? So I think a lot of people are capable of a lot more than they ever give themselves credit for. And more often than not, someone else sees that more than we get to see it in ourselves. And for someone like you to say, I needed someone else to see that, I'd
Mm-hmm.
like to hear what was going through your head.
Well, I think you start down the rabbit hole of like, okay, so I'm not able to get back on the track and sprint and hurdle. And because of that, I am not seeing the evidence that gives me the confidence that I am on the right path. But I think there are different kind of pieces of evidence that show you that you're still in momentum forward toward that goal. It's just not as like clear or the type of momentum that you thought you were supposed to have. And so I think for me, it would just be like, well, I'm not able to train, which means I'm not moving forward, which means I'm never going to like improve my speed or my technique or whatever. And oh, here's all these other people that are doing that, or they're in this race and they already ran this time this year. I'm not even training yet. I can't even run that time. Like, and so you just like start to spiral all the way down. And so I think for me, it was like I was creating stories of why this was absolutely not true. Like why there was no way this was possible. And then thanks to my coach's belief, thanks to the incredible support and my family and friends and teammates and people who helped continue to push me and kind of refocus me back onto like what I could do still to allow me to keep in reach of that goal. I was able to kind of push through and then ultimately make the Olympic Games. And I think then I suddenly had evidence of how you can make this epic comeback. I had proof that like I was the type of person who could make an epic comeback even when all odds are against you. And I've said this to people before that I am so grateful for that opportunity to experience what I'm truly capable of in that case, because not everyone gets the opportunity to even see that through. And I could have very well had the same story where like, I was sidelined, I got the injury, and then I didn't qualify. And that would have reinforced the story in my head, even though my potential was still the same, because I'm still the same person regardless. Like that still is in there. And this is a silliest example, but at a workout class, like a Barry's boot camp, you like run on treadmills next to other people. I was at a workout and this girl was next to me. And, I have a little bit of pride in me of being like, no. I need to go harder than whatever she's doing. And she genuinely was like moving so fast. She was killing it. She was having like an amazing workout. Like this girl was doing amazing. But I could tell like this girl had a lot in her. Like she really did. I feel like she could have ran every kind of like mileage point with me. Like she could have. I was like, damn, this girl's like legit. Like someone please tell me that she's like killing CrossFit or something, like I need to know that. But when we got to some of the harder challenges or in the last 10 seconds of kind of any interval, she would already start putting her like thing down to get off of it. And I thought like, just hold on for the final 10 seconds. Like you got this. Like I can see it in you. I can see like your stride over here. I'm paying attention to you. Like you do have this. And she would kind of give up on herself like 10 seconds to like 10 seconds shy. And I think it's because she doesn't know what she's truly capable of. Like she doesn't know that she can actually push beyond that. Versus I had that opportunity. I know what I'm capable of because I've had the opportunity to fight through it and push my body really hard and know that when you think you're done, you realistically, you do have 10 more seconds in there. And I've been fortunate to have that experience to know that's possible. She might not have. And so she was coming down at 10 seconds before and it was like, girl, you got this. Like keep it going. And I remember being on the treadmill thinking in that moment, like, I'm so lucky that I know that I can still keep going for 10 more seconds because I believe that she could have. And she just doesn't know that yet. And so it takes that exposure therapy. It takes that opportunity to have to like grind through it in like when it feels awful, when you feel like you're going to die, like she has to fight through that in order to know that she actually is capable of that. And that's how I felt when I was sidelined. I felt like I was going to die. Like I felt like everyone was moving forward. I am a worthless human being. There's nothing that is more meaningful than making the Olympic Games. And so my whole world was crumbling down and falling apart. But because I had to walk through that fire, I now know more about what I'm truly capable of. And so I should have stopped and told her that in the middle of the workout, but I was also out of breath, so I did not.
I love, well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. And I am probably going to steal the extra 10-second message from there as well.
You can't steal it.
What?
You said I'm going to steal it.
Yeah, that story is fantastic. I mean, and most people have another 10 seconds in them more often than not. But if you never push yourself to find that out, or you never put yourself into a position to know, then you aren't going to get there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Did you watch Alex Honnold's Climb on Netflix, like that free solo building climb? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, I didn't watch it though.
So, unrelated to the actual climb itself, he was getting interviewed and about the way he looks at extreme moments. And Alex was saying more people, I don't think he meant like go hang from a building without a rope, but more people need to go put themselves into extreme situations, or they need to, put themselves into a spot where they're afraid or there's fear
Mm,
because a lot of people in society today, the amount of anxiety we have
yeah.
over things that he was saying are kind of trivial. He's
Mm,
like, I'll go to the airport and I'll have all these people that are all anxious and they're worried about what's going to happen. And he's like, you're in a controlled environment.
hmm.
There's water available everywhere. There's food available everywhere.
Right.
You might be late, but your life is not that
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah.
And it was neat to hear that and just like take a step back and go,
Mhm,
yeah, if you're really not giving yourself that perspective, you're not pushing yourself in these moments, you're not
mhm,
trying things past what you think you're capable of,
mhm.
then you do start worrying. Your mind starts going. Unfortunately, it makes you little or smaller than you really are.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's it. I'm gonna have to watch it now. Have to at least find that clip. That's really interesting. Because yeah, it's like it's all a matter of perspective. And so like we have to be put in those positions to recognize like yeah, where our boundaries are, what is true threat, all of those things. So I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, it's a great interview, and I'm absolutely amazing what he has accomplished. I mean, once again, not telling people to go to that extreme, but I love
Yeah, yeah.
just it ties in so well of what we're doing with our time and what we're doing to reach our full potential. So
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Awesome.
I think you're so relatable. I think a lot of people would go, she's done this, I've never done this, I just do this. But at the same time, you're so relatable. And I appreciate you sharing, what the hard parts that got you to where you are today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the great questions and yeah, great to chat.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for being on the Amplifier Speakers podcast. I just want everyone to know that is listening. I will have links to Sarah's website, her social media as well. So when you get done here, if you go to the notes, click there and you can learn a lot more. Thank
Thank
you
you so
again.
much, Chris. Thank you.
All right. Bye.